Stampers, Diane Dimich here with DDStamps.com, and today I'm going to show you how I made the envelope album with the envelope punch board that I promised last week with one of my videos. But these are really fun to make, really very easy. This was a 6x6 one that I did, and then I also have one that I did of 5x5 of my daughter's trip to New York, and this is a lot of fun. So this is the size that I'm going to show you today. So it's fairly easy to do. What you can make all different sizes, and so you just take your punch board and you decide which size you want your album to be. And so for instance on this one I chose my album to be 5x5, and so I have cut 4 pieces on this particular one of very vanilla cardstock at 8 1/8 by 8 1/8, and I just go ahead and use exactly the measurements that are on my scoreboard. So it's to make an envelope, then I would go to 4 1/8 and line that paper up, score it, punch it, just like you're making an envelope. Score it, punch it, score it, punch it. And just so that you know, once you've measured that first measurement, the next one do not need to be measured. You just line this little arrow thing up with the score line that's already there. Score it and punch it. Now, once you've done that, I'm just going to move my little scraps out of the way here, take my cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and score them so they're nice and sharp. And I have already done the other 3 pieces of cardstock only because I didn't want you to have to sit here watching me score and cut and score and cut and score and cut. So once you have 4 pieces done, this is the easy part. So what you're going to do is you're going to take 2 of your envelopes, put this side flap in, these flaps out, this side in, those into the middle, and then this slides right down inside that pocket, and then you close it shut. And then this flap, which will be hanging out here, actually folds back on itself for right now. And then the next 2, you do the exact same thing with the next 2, and there's a flap or an opening right here, and you slide that into that opening and close that. You're going to do the same thing with the last envelope, only flip it over and then slide your flap of your envelope down in there. It's getting a little tight just because there's so many of them in there, and then you can close it up. And then what I do is I just kind of go around and make sure that we are squared up. Like that. And then this is the part where you adhere together. So I'm just making sure my score lines are good and tight. I'm going to open this up, and then this flap from this envelope is going to get adhesive on it. And it's going to come over to this side of the book. This flap is going to come down over the top of that corner. So I'm going to put adhesive here and here and pull that together. And then on these 2 flaps, you're going to put the bottom one down, add some adhesive, the top one down. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that your adhesive isn't hanging over. It doesn't really matter on this side, but on the inside it does. And that you've formed this pocket. This is going to be a pocket. So what you're going to do on this is when you're all done with your book and it's put together, you will cover this whole area with designer series paper, except leaving this open so then you have a pocket to put a page in. Okay, so then this is the hardest part right here. You're going to open this up, and you're going to see that there's 3 flaps on this side going towards this side of the book, and you actually need to get them all to lay towards the other side of the book. This is actually the part that's really binding it all together. So you're going to fold it over. Oops, get that out. Fold it over, and it can come apart. This is where it can come apart. You just want to make sure that you stay lined up. And then adhesive on this flap, and fold that one over. As you can see, the pages are all real loose. And then adhesive this flap, and fold it, oops, fold it over. And then the last thing that you're going to do, of course, is you're always going to pull this one down. And what this does on this side is you're going to pull this one down and take it over the edges of these flaps so that when you tuck a piece of cardstock down inside here, once it's a pocket, it'll slide in smoothly and it won't catch on that, on those tips. A couple little things of adhesive. And again, we're ready for a pocket on this side. And then when you open this one up, you've got this flap here. That, of course, is going to stay on this side. And you're going to lay that down. And then do the same thing. Make your pockets. So these pockets will come this way. And then turn your page. And you've got one last page here to deal with. And you're going to put that envelope side down. Bring this one up. A little adhesive. Bring it down. Close your book. And you have got the beginnings of a scrapbook. So it's really, really, really simple, and it's a lot of fun. Now what I did on mine is I made a binding, and so I just took whatever size my album happens to be. This one happens to be 5 by 5, and so actually the pages are about 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. So this piece of paper that I'm using here is 2.5 inches by 5 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and trim it off to 5 1/4 because it's just a little bit longer than that. And then I'm going to come in with a scoring tool or a score, simply scored, or the score thing on your cutter. And you're going to score this at 3/4 of an inch. One inch. 1.5. Okay, so you're scoring it at 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch, 1.5, and 1 3/4. And this ends up being your binding. And it actually is just there to make it look pretty, to be honest with you, but it does make the binding look much nicer. So you're going to go ahead and fold on your score lines. Folding this one back. And put these all together, show you how this works. So you have a scored piece that looks like this. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come in here and you're going to add adhesive to this side and adhesive to this side. Oops. There, I just got a bunch of adhesive on my piece of paper there. And then you're going to line this up with the edge of the cardstock like that. And then bring it around to the back and line it up like that. And that's how you bind your book. And that's how you get your scrapbook. And once your book is put together, then you can take it, and I'll show you on this one, but see how the binding is. Then I added designer series paper over the top and, you know, covered up some of that binding. So it looked like a binding of a real book. And then on the inside, this is what I was talking about for your pockets. So on this, I actually laid a piece of designer series paper over both sections, and then these pull out. And I did the same thing throughout the whole book, and so I've got these pages that pull out. That's it. It's that simple. Very, very easy to do. I hope you try it. Give it some. I've made, I don't know, I think I've made 6 already. So it's a lot of fun, and I've made all different sizes. So enjoy it. Have a great day, and if you haven't already, sign up for my newsletter or subscribe to me on YouTube and get more videos just like this one. Thank you.